Welcome to Charter Communications Local Edition. This program featuring the newly elected and soon to serve senators and representatives who will be serving in the 2015 Montana legislature, which starts in January. Today, here in the Capitol in Helena, we just finished caucus leadership elections. And one of the newly elected is our next guest for this segment, Senator Jon Sesso from Butte, Senate District 37, for people who keep track of those kind of things. John, congratulations.
Thanks for having me on.
You're now
thank you very much.
you are, this will be your second term as the Senate Minority Leader, correct?
Yes, second term as Senate Minority Leader, and that follows up my last term in the House where I served as Minority Leader there.
Right, so you're gaining experience and momentum. Tell me how you even came to this. I knew you long before when you were politics was not part of your nameplate. How did you come to Butte, and then how did you get into politics?
You know, I drove from Madison, Wisconsin to Butte, Montana.
That's how you got there.
I drove here in 1978 to take a job in Butte at the National Center for Appropriate Technology. Worked there for a decade. Came to work for state government for 3-4 years, and then I was lucky enough to get the job as planning director, land use planning director in Butte.
You commuted from Butte to Helena for years.
I did. My wife owned a restaurant in Butte, so it was either commute or miss those opportunities to eat. But that was a little taste of what the legislature was all about, working in state government. But I've been a local government guy for the last 25 years.
As the city planner,
As the city planner in Butte. Yeah. And in the early part of the 2000s, 2004, our Chief Deputy County Attorney, Brad Newman, had decided he wasn't going to run again. He had served 2 terms in the House.
Now Judge Newman.
Now Judge Newman.
Right.
And he apparently had judge on his mind rather than a 3rd or 4th term in the House. Okay. And we gotten pretty used to having a guy in the courthouse who was serving in the legislature, so that when we needed something very important to local government, we had a go-to guy. And my colleagues said, Sesso, why don't you do that, because we think it would be great to have that continuity. So I ran. My closest election ever was in a primary in my first election back in 2004. Never had run for office before, and pretty much been
3 terms in the House?
4 terms in the House. Turned out.
Yeah.
Even though I love the House.
And the timing was right to run for the Senate.
That's right. Senator Danny Harrington had also been termed out, and so I ran for his seat in 2012. Okay. Steve Gals, as a matter of fact. Steve Gals, he was the one who was out. So,
John, I sent out questionnaires. Said, what do you want to talk about? Because it's your segment, and most people want to talk about specific bills and specific initiatives, and yours is very interesting. Yours is more about philosophy, psychology, and so it's going to be an interesting segment. Your first one was you'd like to talk about how to govern as a legislator through communication, collaboration, compromise for the common good, beyond sound bites. Is that all? Does that say it all, or do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, that's.
Is there too much?
The point was that I learned early, in my first session, 2005. I came in freshman legislator, and 50-50 in the House.
I remember that.
And
so you were in the majority because the governor was Democrat.
Well, we were in the majority because the gov. But any bill, any legislation required the other side. Yeah. You had to have votes on the other side. I thought that's how it worked. Yeah. If you have an idea, it's not just enough to get the like-minded people to agree with you. You've got to reach across the aisle and get all people to agree with you. And that's what made that session work. And that was my upbringing. That's what I learned, is that you've got to make relationships. You've got to build those relationships. You've got to earn the respect of your colleagues.
Well, it was always the Butte modus, because Butte never had a lot of representatives, but they always made so many friends. They became a little power base through that.
I had the benefit of some good teachers.
Yeah, you did.
Bobby Pavlovich in particular sat me down when I got elected in 2004 and said, "Hey, John, this is how it goes. Do not ever be afraid to make a friend on the other side of the aisle, because at the end of the day, you need everyone to pass good
Now, Bobby's
legislation.
methodology was pinochle. Are you a pinochle
Poker,
player?
no, more
More
poker
poker
for
than
me.
pinochle.
But those guys taught me a lot. They taught me how to compromise. Butte's been a really pro-development city. I'm here representing my town. I'm representing the people who live in Butte. That's what they want. That's what I'm representing. And
Pretty pragmatic
that's right.
Democrats,
That's
correct?
the best way
Is
to
their
say
history?
it. That's right. And to be pragmatic, that means you know when to compromise and when to stand pat. And
Let's talk about a subject that will require compromise. Economics. It's your second. Spend no more than we take in, a strong balance sheet on the state budget. Elaborate on that.
Came in 2005. Again, my route has been on the Appropriations Committee. I rose to chairman in my third session in 2009, came over to the Senate, been on Senate Finance and Claims. That's what I know best about state government, and I am very proud of the 5 sessions that I've been part of balancing the budget and to make sure we run the state of Montana the way everybody runs their budget on the kitchen table. They can't spend more than they take in. Otherwise you get in Dutch, you get in debt, and that's not how we run our families, that's not how we run our businesses, and that's not how we're going to run our state. So I wanted to make sure in my time here with your program, we stand up for the necessity, because it's in the Constitution, number one, but to separate Montana from the national landscape. Yeah, we've got problems in DC. And a common soundbite over the election season, we need more Montana thinking in DC. I agree with that, but to me that means we think pretty good in Montana.
Maybe less DC thinking in Montana.
That's right. Let's not worry about the national picture. We're doing a pretty good job running our state. Let's accentuate the positive. Let's be positive about what we do right.
So I don't even have to go to number 3 because you just segued masterfully to the positive.
You know, there's
Is
two-
that possible,
Yeah.
John? I mean, really. It always sounds good up front. You have managed to stay pretty optimistic and cheery around here, but when it degenerates into, anger and animosities, can we get past that?
We have to.
Yeah.
We have to. I mean, I am here to say that there's enough people here that agree with that philosophy, that you stay positive, you don't make things personal, you try to shy away from the ideology that tends to separate us and concentrate on the common ground that brings us together. And no matter who's ranking Montana, we're doing pretty darn good. We got a good tax climate. We've got a good entrepreneurial way in which we go about helping businesses grow their small businesses. We got a lot going for us in Montana. As a legislator, my mandate is to accentuate the positive, make sure what we do well, we continue to do well, and then just concentrate on what we can do better. It's a better way to go about what we're trying to do here for these 90 days.
Well, I appreciate that, and I'm telling you that this is a very unusual interview. I've been doing these all day long, and you're the first one that didn't say none of this particular item in this particular. So it's very interesting to get that much of a philosophical cast from one of the leaders of the whole session. So it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds.
That's right.
I wish you the best of luck, and I thank you for all the time you put into this public service realm, John. I know that you're a lover of music and a lover of sports, and there are a lot of other things in life you like a lot. So this is a sacrifice like it is for most legislators, and I appreciate you serving, and I appreciate you stopping by. And we appreciate you for tuning in, and I would appreciate it personally, as would Charter, if you take the time sometime to thank your local legislator for these sacrifices they make to do this work for you. Thanks for tuning in.